Thank you, Cathaoirleach. Minister, I was driving in this morning and saw a queue outside the passport office at 8:45. It was a long queue, and it reminded me that today was another day of passports and another day for my team in my office, who honestly are at their wits' end. I really want to thank them for their work, as well as that of the passport office. But every TD in this House has a team who's plagued by having to try to navigate a system that is working sometimes, and I want to acknowledge that, but in many cases is really very difficult. It's nearly ridiculous, but I know that my team have actually been awake at night worried about individual passport cases. For example, I have one lady in my constituency with stage 4 cancer who had to give birth at an early stage. There is only one opportunity for her to travel before getting treatment, and we had to fight to get the passport for the child to go with her. It is those types of very personal cases that keep my team anyway awake at night, worrying about the resolution of the individual case, but also knowing that they're going to be spending the majority of every day again redialing the passport number again and again, sometimes 100 times, waiting on hold, finally speaking to somebody. There's a couple of people who are very good there, others where you get the bare minimum, essentially being told that you can look up online on the tracking site, and then 4:30 comes around all too quickly and very little else can be done, or it has to be done at the same time. And they are talking about the individual families. You're talking about weddings, christenings, first holidays away after the pandemic, school trips, and some people, as I have mentioned, quite literally a once-in-a-lifetime holiday opportunity potentially being cancelled if we can't get the passport. Our staff are having to triage and make really difficult personal decisions about applications, about which ones are the most important to raise, with our office limit of 5 queries per call, 15 per week. Last week we had used all of our queries by Tuesday lunchtime. And they're not ridiculous requests. It's people not applying for a first-time passport and expecting it next week. They're coming with legitimate concerns and legitimate problems. Like, I got a passport that had been in the system for a very long time for a child, and it arrived then with the wrong month, the wrong date of birth on it, and the mother did not get it, or the date of birth of her own child wrong. I have another one here. This is an adult. It was his second application since February. The reason was, I've no idea what happened in the passport office. He was advised eventually to put in a second application. He had numerous calls, one stating from the passport office that he had misspelled his own name, the next advising that his own date of birth was wrong, the next advising that the application was ripped. Now, it wasn't ripped by him, as he had, put his wrong name and his wrong date of birth on this application. This is a perfectly competent citizen of this state. The final straw was that he needed to submit a new application because he had used Tipp-Ex on the application. Of course he hadn't used Tipp-Ex on the application to correct something that he didn't get wrong in the first place. It is these sorts of frustrations. He's now come for reassurance on the new timeline because he's actually doing his leaving cert, and he just can't spend the same time on trying to organise a passport. The tracker page doesn't always match or often match what information the passport office has. A basic adult passport application seems to be taking over a month and a half to process. I know that's not in every case, but I have a child renewal that was submitted on the 4th of May. Is somehow going to take over a month to process, with an issue date of the 7th of June, 3 days after the family is due to travel. It's been assigned to a checker, but in our experience now, that could be anything from a quick resolution that day, which is wonderful, to no news for another week. Now, that is far longer than the stated 15-day turnaround for child renewal. I have 2 first-time passport applications at the moment. The first request was made for new documentation after 30 days had already passed. New documentation was sent in, the estimated issue date adjusted, which as it stands now will mean the application has been with the passport office for over 60 days. The family will miss the travel date by 3 days. The second application was due on 21st of April. And over a month later, it's still processing. I was told 2 days ago it had been elevated to the priority list, and I communicated that to my constituent. But when we called today, we were advised that it will be added to the priority list. No further update, and the action that was supposedly taken 2 days ago is now about to be undertaken. I have delivered, as I'm sure others have, the very bad news that a passport will not be available in time, only for the family to cancel their holiday and the passport to arrive the next day. I have been told it is printing and will be in the post the next day, only for it to be at the same stage 2 weeks later. These are inconsistencies that I can't stand over. I can't believe we're standing here having this sort of process-level conversation at this level in the chamber for this long. These are the sort of process inconsistencies that we have about the passport office. I recognise that there are good people there doing good work and that they are getting that many more out. I recognise that you have hired more, but these are basic state processes, and it is taking up too much time for everybody. It is creating too much stress for constituents and for citizens of this state who are entitled to their documents, and whatever needs to get sorted out just needs to get sorted out, please, Minister.